Okay. Okay. So in June, there's a bunch of changes coming to contracts, and so we want to look at some of those things. Here we go. So the first one is the fire hardening and defensible space advisory and disclosure. Okay, there's a new form that's come out. It's also highlighted in the SBSA. So it's the fire hardening and defensible space advisory disclosure. Okay. Unless your home is in, if you have the cellars, and if your home, unless it is in a high or very high fire severity zone, I am recommending you do not use the form. Okay, Connie.
I'm starting to see them come over as disclosures.
If you do not, here, so we're going to this in a second. I'm going to recommend if you have the cellar that we not have our sellers fill it out. I know it is saying that this is an advisory only, but I think once your seller starts to check boxes, I don't care what they say, I think that makes you, that opens up some liability and vulnerabilities for them. And I'll explain it in a few seconds here. If you're doing a house that's in a high zone, then yes, you need to use that. But you do not, it is an advisory, or it's a disclosure if you're in a high fire severity zone.
What's considered?
How are you gonna know? Great question. How are you gonna know? How are you gonna know?
Oh, the NHD.
The NHD. So get the NHD. If it says it's in a high or a very high zone, then you need to use it. If it's not, I'm advising you not. So let me switch to oops. Okay, so there's a section 2, fire severity zone. A, the home is in a high or very high hazard severity zone. That's the default. So it's saying it is. Or B, checking the home is not in a high or very high fire hazard severity zone. The seller is providing this form as an advisory, and if paragraph 3B is completed below, as a voluntary disclosure. So if you do use it, just check 3B or 2B. Don't have them check any of the boxes on 3B, because 3B is fire hardening disclosure only to be completed if criteria in 1A are met, or it's a 3B, fire hardening vulnerability. Seller is aware of the following features that may make the home vulnerable to wildfire and flying embers. Check all that apply, and it talks about different things: the rain gutters without metal, looser, missing bird stopping, single pane or non-tempered glass, combustible landscaping. If you're not in a severity zone and they're starting to check boxes and something happens, I don't think it's a good thing to do. The NHD covers it, talks about its severity or non-severity. If it's not, I don't think we should use it with our sellers, because you're just opening up. They're saying it's an advisory, but I've got my son-in-law, his parents lived in the coffee neighborhood in Santa Rosa, and their neighborhood burned down. They were not in a high severity zone, but the fire still got there. So my concern is that we do this, you start checking boxes, something happens, and that opens up the clients to vulnerability.
You can't write.
Why?
So let me take you, see what, no, the NHD? So on here, there's no space for that, but the natural hazard disclosure, if it's saying it's not in a high or very high severity zone, there's no reason for this, because we're not there. The only reason I think you should use your sellers is if you're in a high severity zone. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, being from Napa.
Okay.
And having lived there when like literally like, and my office was in Sonoma, so I watched like both areas like burn
Right.
down. And like you said, a lot of these areas weren't in the high severity zones. could, and I'm an eight, I don't not like know everything about real estate, but could we potentially get sued if something, let's say, somebody is not in a high severity zone, right? And then something does happen to their house, because I mean, it is California, technically all of California is a high severity zone, you know? Could we potentially get sued? Like, oh, you didn't tell us that this way, like.
No, because
you see what I'm saying?
because the natural hazard disclosure will disclose if it's in a severity or
Got
not.
it.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if it wasn't and something still happens.
No,
Like,
because
does that make sense?
no, because they've already done that.
Okay.
To me, this form opens you up to problems by starting to check boxes and do stuff
Okay.
as a seller. If it's in a high severity, you need to use it.
Okay, and we all get a copy of that, so we can.
It'll be in your thing, but I'll leave these for you guys to look through.
So
But
Dave,
this is a new form coming out in June. Somebody on the line had a question. Was that you, Carla?
question, yeah. So let's just say it is in a high severity zone stated on the NHD. Why this form then? Whether, because the NHD is going to state yes or no, even if it's yes, why do we have to further explain the yes? When it's already.
Because at that point, then you need to fill out 3B, which is the fire hardening vulnerabilities. So they need to disclose what the vulnerabilities are. It could be the eaves, the roof ventilation where vents have openings, roof coverings made of untreated wood shingles, combustible landscaping. So then they need to disclose what they know about those things in that house and that property on this. So that they would need to fill out then 3B, they would need to fill out if it is in a high severity zone. That's a disclosure they're having to disclose.
What's some high severity zone out here, like that whole Marsh Creek area towards Clayton? Is there anything else? And
I don't know. I
I'd
don't know.
imagine Diablo
Again-
Hill would probably be high risk.
Where?
Isn't Diablo or something like that, the big hill mountain?
Yeah, my
rapid-
Diablo area up over there. Yeah. So again, it's like the earthquake thing. You know, you can have this block, it's not in an earthquake zone, and 2 blocks over it is an earthquake zone. So don't assume, get the NHD and look at it early. And then if it's there, then have your sellers do this. If it's not in one, then I'm going to advise that we not use the form. Because I think regardless of what they say on here, I think it opens up to potential issues. Okay. Now, I may come across some things that changes my mind on that, but first blush looking through this, I've got real concerns with your sellers filling this out if they're not in one of those zones. Okay. So that's one of them. That's a new form that's coming out. Lease listing agreement. Again, you guys don't do a lot of those. Let me clarify. So some of our new agents, you can help your clients get a house rented. You can help them find a rental. You just can't do property management. Okay. So so please help your clients with rentals as best you can. It's difficult out there. But you can help with that. So the lease listing agreement. So a couple of things that are on there, and that's a little hard to see. So in the red, this is talking about cooperation or for outside compensation. For a fixed term lease, either a percent or the total rent for the term, which is the new thing on residential. Commercial, that's usually it's based on the length of that, because usually a commercial lease is longer term, and so you're doing a percent for that. Or for a month-to-month rental, either blank percent of the amount specified, used to calculate the broker's percentage. So they've just added that part on there, which isn't a huge thing on there. But this is something they've added on the lease listing agreement, is death on the premises. Okay. Seller or person who owned the property did not have to disclose that before. They've added that on now as something that an occupant died in the premises within the last 3 years. Okay. If somebody died of AIDS, do you have to say they died in the premises?
No.
Okay. Do you have to, or should you say what they died of? No. If people ask, well, if people ask, did they die of AIDS? What's your response?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, you can't answer that question.
But if
And then other material facts, but people who have owned a home are gonna have to put it on if somebody died in the home in the last 3 years. Okay. So,
Oh, this is for
lease listing. So that wasn't a requirement before. Now it is. It's a listing thing. Termination of agency relationship. Owner acknowledges, agrees that unless owner and broker enter into a separate property management agreement, broker will not represent owner in any manner regarding the management of the premises. Owner further agrees that representation duties of an agency relationship with broker terminate at the earlier 1 or 2 below entering into a rental lease agreement or tenant occupancy delivered tenants. So they put that in there, which I really like that because I just did a lease for one of Emel's clients he is always easy and delightful to work with. But he once I got her into contract, she had a list of things she wanted done and she sent it to me. And so I finally said, hey, Sal, you need to deal with this stuff. Oops, I didn't say his name. I said, you need to deal with this stuff because I'm not properly managing it. You want to do that. So this clarifies in there that our relationship ends when I get the tenant, and then from there you pick it up and take it over. So so that's an important thing because when you're doing the lease for people, they just kind of expect you to kind of keep doing things and taking care of calls for service for the first couple of weeks, and that's not what the relationship is. So I like that one. Referral fee agreement. This is an agreement between brokers. Let's see, evidence of resulting from the contract specified below, whether closing occurs during or after the approximation expiration time. So it's enters into contract to buy, enters into contract to sell, or enters into contract to lease. So they've added those things in there of what sort of transaction it is, buy, sell, or lease. And so that's what they've added onto there. And during or after. So, yep. So that's if you're doing a referral, new form on that, and some things to kind of be aware of with that, which I think they clarified that. I think those are good changes on there. No, because these don't become official until sometime in June here. So yeah. So and again, these changes here, they may make last minute changes. So the ones in red are ones that are probably going to happen, but they haven't fully clarified it yet and done that. Coming soon, impact on status market. This is residential listing agreement. So some changes on this, which is, we all do a lot of those. So the first one is highlighting that, and it's on actually page 2, days on the market. Sellers advised to discuss with broker the meaning of coming soon. So that term applies to the MLS, which property. So if you put it coming soon, is your days in the market starting to accumulate?
No.
Yes. Once you put on the MLS, days on the market start to accumulate. So if your people say, hey, let's put it on for a couple of weeks, kind of get word out there, and then we'll be ready, just let them know. That means when it comes live, it's been on the market for 14 days.
And
Okay.
that
So we
means
could put like
this is taking effect in June.
This is taking effect in June, correct?
Okay.
Well, no, well, the days on market's already happening. This is just letting them know in there that that's what's going on.
But
we
as
could-
of now, it starts over.
When you go live,
Yeah. I took mine off of coming soon and made it live. And then it started over. Because we went
Did
pending
it?
in 3 days.
Okay, how about consecutive days on market? What did that show?
Go back and look at it again, but
Okay. I think the days on the market may reset, but the consecutive days on market, I think stays
okay.
there. So if you can check on that, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you fill out one of those forms so you can have a sign that says coming soon, but it doesn't go on
Nope.
to the market yet?
Any marketing that you do if you do flyers, you do a sign in the yard, you have to go coming soon on MLS. Within 24 hours of any marketing efforts, you need to do that. Okay.
I think so.
Then there's that form to fill out too.
part of it is confusing because remember there used to be a form that you could fill out. if you wanted to put
To withhold it from the market, but if you do any marketing, it doesn't matter if the form is filled out, any sort of marketing, sign in the ground and that, it's supposed to be on the MLS, is coming soon.
Right, but that's changed over the years, right?
Well,
Before
that
it
was
was a form.
changed like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
okay,
And then you have 3 days to actually make it active on the MLS.
unless you have the form filled out that says it's gonna be a longer delay.
Okay.
Yeah.
One more thing to remember
Yep.
about that, about the coming soon. So if you do a coming soon, you only put the first photo on there, or you put a couple of photos. Make sure you go in and add your new photos on there before it goes live, because once it goes live, Realtor.com and Zillow and all those only pick up the first pictures that you had put on there.
And take off your ugly old picture.
Right.
Yep.
Because I forgot to do that.
Okay.
Take off your ugly old picture.
Yes, I have one that was funky.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's very important to remember and keep in mind. So, and again, for those of you who are new agents or you get a transaction, you're a newer agent and something goes wrong or you make a mistake, take it from Maggie, take it from me, take it from Naomi, take it from Emil. We still make mistakes, even though we've been doing this for years. So it's not the end of the world if you make a mistake, unless you like murder somebody and that was your mistake and you know.
And then
Yeah,
you're,
don't go. Yeah,
Don't come to us
Yeah.
that way. So on the coming soon, you still need to do the SELM form.
yes. So the seller election to limit marketing, I think is what it is. SELM form, you still need to do that form, even if you're doing coming soon. So that lets them know why you're not going live on that. Under the residential listing agreement, broker responsibility, authority, and limitations. Presentation of offers. Broker agrees to present all offers received for seller's property and present them to seller as soon as possible, unless seller gives broker written instructions to the contrary. Buyer supplemental offer letters, buyer letters. Okay. These are those letters you get. Okay. Paragraph 8 of the Fair Housing and Discrimination Advisory attached to this agreement informs seller of the practice of many buyers and their agents of including a buyer letter with an offer to try to influence a seller to accept the buyer's offer. Buyer letters also include any photos and video, whether overt or unintentional. Buyer letters may contain information about a buyer's or seller's protected class or characteristics. Deciding whether to accept an offer based upon protected classes or characteristics is unlawful. Broker will not review the content of buyer's letters. So if you get a letter, don't review it. So C2A, seller instructs broker not to present buyer letters, whether submitted with an offer or separately at a different time. Seller authorizes broker to specify in the MLS that buyer letters will not be presented to seller. Or B, checkbox, seller instructs broker to present buyer letters. Broker advises that seller that buyer letters may contain information about protected classes, so on and so forth. So when you're doing a listing, the default is that you will not present buyer letters. If they want to see those, you check that box, you remind them that you're opening yourself up to vulnerability for fair hiring and discrimination. And you don't advise that they do that. If that box is not checked, what do you need to put into the MLS confidential comments?
no buyer letters.
Buyer letters will not be presented to seller.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
So
And doing it in the I'll email back. No, it's very not personal. Like a personal letter.
But even like protected classes, special ed too, we had one recently where they mentioned that the child had handicap. And that's a protected group of
Yep.
people as well. And
Yep.
so you have to be very careful about it.
yep. So if they don't check B or they don't want to do that, you need to put in your MLS listings confidential remarks that buyer letters will not be presented.
That should,
Okay.
be.
One more thing to remember, but you keep that in mind, because if you don't put that in there, you start getting letters over. So make sure you do that. So
Did you see that post? It was like, don't send us a cute picture of your family, send us a cute picture. If you want to send a picture, send a cute picture of your bank account.
yeah, this is true.
I like that one. That's a good one. Post that.
And then E, seller agrees within 5 days or how many days to begin the agreement to order, and if required at the time, pay for natural hazard disclosure and the following pre-sale reports. Get back to you later, Steve. And then there's check boxes for what reports they're going to do. Preliminary report, roof inspection, pool inspection, septic inspection. That's the seller getting those reports. But their default right now is that within 5 days at the beginning of the agreement to order and if required, to pay for natural hazard disclosure. So what they're saying is that you need to order those NHDs when you get into contract within 5 days. Okay. So if you get a listing, get the NHD ordered ASAP. Connie.
I normally order them when I do make the listing.
Okay.
Or if you guys give me the name of the actor, the address of the client, I order it then. So.
Okay. So you get a listing. They don't want to go live for 2 weeks. You sit on this. Day 8, you give Connie the listing. Hey, I've got the listing. You know, we're coming soon. You're coming next week. Should the NHD have been ordered already? Yeah. It's so 5 days. 5 days. Or what you can do is you can change the number of days in there. So you're not going to go live for 2 weeks. You could put 14 days on there on that. But if you don't put any days on there within 5 days, even a coming soon of getting this, you should have the NHD ordered. And you want to order early for what other reason?
See if you're in a fire.
Fire severity zone. Yeah, so you can find that out. Linda, you had a hand up.
For that, so basically, if they don't mark like other, so this is saying that the seller is responsible for the inspections, correct?
Well, it's saying that they're choosing to do those.
Okay, so.
There's check boxes for
I
that.
had one where they were like, we're not gonna do anything other than the NHD. So I just put other, and then I put buyers responsible for reports, for inspection.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah. In this case, though, the NHD is automatic. And then one more change on there. If seller authorizes a key safe lockbox, seller does, or if check does not authorize buyer broker to allow other licensed real estate agents not otherwise participating in or bound by the MLS and its lockbox rules to have access to the key safe lockbox. And that this one may be deleted or changed depending on NAR Department of Justice settlement terms. So I'm not real sure what all that means, but watch for section 15 in the key safe lockbox and see what they put in there.
So isn't that just saying that they have access, they're giving access to other agents to the lockbox?
No, I think it means that they're not giving access. It's probably like if you don't belong to a different area, I would
Right.
assume, then we'll probably have to call that agent and say, can I see it, but not use the lock, not.
But then you just have to call.
The cooperating.
MLS and get
Right.
Yeah. So I'm, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not real sure what all is behind that. So we'll see what comes out on that. Ema, you were saying something?
Well, I was just going to add that the coming soon, one of the reasons there's so much sensitivity to that early on in starting real estate, there were a number of agents that automatically put their places on coming soon and were often accused of manipulating the market to double in the deal.
They did.
And they were being accused of that because that's what they were doing.
So that's where that came from.
Yep.
And you have to be very aware that you don't get it.
Well, yeah, but you can't advertise it even if it's coming soon to another place other than the MLS.
Correct.
Correct?
You
Correct.
can put coming soon on your sign.
Yes.
Yes, you can put coming soon in your sign. Correct.
And that's where.
Double ending, it means you find the buyer for your listing.
Oh.
So, but that may not, just because you found the buyer doesn't necessarily mean that's the best offer, because you haven't put it on the broader market and that, so. Okay, statewide buyer and seller, so they've changed the cover page, or the first page, looks kind of like this now. So it just tells you which page you can find those things on.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, I'll read it.
But I have sellers again, they go through each one.
So here's what I like though, is that the list is alphabetical. And they put the page numbers rather than doing it by what's on each of the pages, because you want to be able to find stuff. So they put the list alphabetical and the page number on there. So that's a new change with that. They've added a couple little spots too.
How long is it now?
It is 14 pages still.
Oh.
So, yeah. Here's the fire hardening and wildfire disasters thing. So here's the advisory. This is a new thing they put in there. And this is on, I'm not sure what page it's on anymore. That's section 14. 12, 11, 12, 13.
We're gonna have this. You're on the contract. That's the listing. Oh, it's the listing.
So again, that's added into there. And so that's why you got to, okay. So, and I love the thing down the bottom here. Brokers do not have expertise in this area,
Oh, I like that.
which we do not have. So that's why if it's not in a high or severe fire zone, that's why I'm just saying, I don't recommend using that with your sellers, because I think it just, we're opening them up, we're opening ourselves up to things there, unless you know. Wildlife, California is the home to many species of wildlife. Location of homes in California continues to expand in areas that are natural habitat of the wildlife. Property may be in such an area. Wildlife may become a nuisance, especially if the availability of their natural sources of food or water is limited. Buyers should investigate the need to implement mitigation measures to the property, including but not limited to the use of animal-resistant garbage containers and other appropriate measures depending on the species and habitat involved. Brokers don't have expertise in this area either. Sea level rise coastal properties. Yeah, so that's just a whole thing saying, hey, your property may be underwater in 10 years, so good luck with that, is what that's basically saying.
Be aware that out here, if you get towards Bethel Island, you go below sea level.
Correct.
And the flood insurance can be dramatically expensive, and
Yep.
it is.
So as one of my former people over the chaplain was doing a chaplains, as he said, when Bethel Island floods, it wasn't if it floods, it's when it floods. So, but those are the changes on there, just a new look on the front and that. Seller's purchase of replacement property. Buyer and seller are referred to as the parties. And then the agreement is contingent on seller entering into a contract to acquire replacement property or identifying a suitable property to move to. So it may not be that they found a house to buy, but a suitable property to move to.
Now, this is used for what?
That's tricky.
It, instead of just making it a condition to the purchase agreement, you have an actual form for it,
Yes.
and it's for like a 1031 or somebody's selling a home.
Somebody's selling a home and they need to find a replacement property. Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
then that is so vague.
Uh-huh.
That no matter what, I can say I haven't found what I'm looking for.
Well,
This is safeguarding your seller.
That's the purpose, if they have it down.
I know, but can the seller say I'm not gonna sell because I can't find a place that I've changed my mind?
Yep.
They've done it before.
Yep.
We've had this one for a while.
Yeah, they've done it before,
Yeah.
they said, okay, fine.
I never had it under contract.
but I think it actually makes things a little more difficult on your seller.
Yeah.
versus more of a protection. I think it's more of a vulnerability for them because it's finding a suitable a replacement one. It doesn't have to be that they found another home to buy, but they found one that they can get into.
Right.
So they don't have to buy another property, they have to just find somewhere they can go.
They can go to.
An in-law, they can find a rental.
Correct. So I think this is going to create some issues.
And so does it give a specific time that they have to do it, or is it still something?
And 17 days is
Okay,
the
so you still-
is the default in there. You can put more days on there.
You can change it,
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
So anytime we have to fill this form, anytime our buyers, I mean, our sellers are.
Seller purchase or replacement. Yeah. Seller's purchase or replacement property. Yes.
Can you put a condition that you can close escrow on a property before they close escrow on your property?
They need to close on the one they're buying before yeah, it's usually the opposite direction, but you can do it that way. Yes. Yes. And you probably do that in an addendum type of a thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that doesn't happen very often because they got to have the resources to be able to close the other. Yeah.
Somebody else is paying cash.
But while you guys initially saw that as a protection for your seller, I see it as it could make it a little more dicey for them because it's identifying a property to replacement property, not necessarily to buy, but someplace to live. Okay. Okay. The PED all. It's a step in the right direction. Fill the form out, and you don't have to do one every time for new people. You can just send this form, any properties that you're showing for your clients. So you don't have to keep sending. Say it again.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, I know. So how you have to do it now, you put the address on there, you send it to your clients to fill it out, they sign it, you send it to the other agent. You get this filled out, signed one time, not property specific for your buyers, and you can just send this same one to everybody you're showing houses to.
That's good.
Which why it took them this long to figure it out is beyond me, but yeah, so. So this is the new one, is just a PED all. Same thing for you. You sign it once for those clients, and then you don't have to bother them again with that, which to me was a huge, I mean, we're just irritating people is all we're doing. Okay. And I don't know about you, but I don't even look at the stupid things when they send them over because, am I recording?
Just say, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Send me a picture.
Early on in this one, I had somebody, they got into contract, said, hey, we're gonna go back out, and look at the property. You want me to send another P to the same clients? It's like, I said, please don't.
People say that. If
Yeah.
you went to the property, send me a new one. I'm like, are you kidding
Yeah.
me? I go, it's the same people.
Yeah.
It's us.
Yeah.
And I'm still COVID free.
I've had people like, "Oh, I need to go back, I just want to measure something, or my clients
Right.
want to measure something, and I'm like, "Okay, go ahead, it's big."
I know.
Okay.
And they're like, I'm gonna send you Pete. I was like, could you not?
Yeah.
Just,
Do the, if you've got buyers you're working with, have them fill out the PED all, and then say, I won't bother you anymore with this, I promise. Until they change,
Why are you lying?
in-
They're gonna change it.
until they change the rules again. Okay. Next section, open houses are back. Okay. There's open house showing rules. You can advertise an open house. A real estate licensee may advertise open houses without qualifications. This includes in MLS and other places. Okay. So you can just say open house. You don't have to qualify things. It's an open house. No appointments required for open houses. There's no, people don't have to set appointments, which means you can put signs out to direct people to your open houses. Okay. Multiple groups are now allowed on the property. The main thing is social distancing and all of that, just to have them pretend like they're at Costco or Kmart or Walmart and just act the same way you act there.
Wait, so when are we doing this? This is like effective now?
It's effective now.
Are there any more Kmart's?
I don't know if there's any more Kmart's.
Because you said Kmart.
I know.
Okay.
Face masks, they need to wear them indoors, even if vaccinated. And so hopefully that'll change over the next, hopefully mid-June, they'll change that again. Sign in, all persons should, entering should sign in, okay. And I'm gonna get myself a little bit in trouble here, because the language is should sign in either digitally or in writing. Yes, you should be signing your clients, people that come into your open house. What should sign in include? Again, the sign in should include a statement that by entering the property, the visitor agreeing to follow the posted rules of entry. What you need to do is you need to have a posted visible thing inside. Please don't tape it to your front door. Put it in a little stand somewhere inside the house where they can see it, okay?
What is that? What do you?
It is all persons entering this property agree to these posted rules, and it's a form that I'll get copies for you guys to have. Again, the language in the industry guidelines is they should include a statement. It's
Statement.
not saying it must. I just did a contracts thing to renew my broker's license, and there's very clear language is should, must, that. They're using the term should. So how you handle your open house, I'm going to trust that you're adults and we'll do things professionally. Yes.
Should we still be putting the coronavirus signs on the front door?
I never have. I've never had a problem. To me, that is, and part of my reaction is all those signs on there reminds me of the foreclosure days and it just,
Yeah, if somebody drives by.
to me, it just makes everything look trashy and it makes it look vulnerable because you got these same looking signs that they had when we had the foreclosure stuff. And so I just haven't put them up. I've had zero problems.
So Dave.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
that note, my Rio Vista client saw a house that had a sign on the front door, and he called me up. He goes, "What's wrong with that place? I think it's in foreclosure." I called up the agent. He goes, "No, it's my COVID signs." But it's like what you're saying, it looks like the house is in foreclosure.
Yep. To me, it was a bad thing that they wanted having done. I just think it made homes vulnerable. I think it said foreclosure, which means that, you're open to people breaking in because people broke into foreclosure homes all the time. I just don't think it was a appropriate right thing to do. Somebody's selling a $1.5 million house and they've got to put these horrendous signs, at the entrance. So,
Dave,
yeah.
I'm not clear on the sign. So they sign their name, but are you saying they should comment on something?
So if you on your Weichert open house app, you can add questions on there, and you could just put a thing about have you been feeling sick in the last few days, and yes or no. And, you can put a couple questions in there about that. You're feeling sick. And then you just put underneath there, if you're feeling sick, please don't enter. And you can have them fill that out and do that. I don't think you need to go into, a ton of questions on it. Just a simple thing. Are you feeling sick today? And then in parentheses, if so, please, bypass the open house. Just so you put something in there on the sign in thing. To me, we don't have to acknowledge something when we go to the grocery store, we go to the restaurant or whatever. So again, there's no consistency, rhyme or reason on all of this. So put something in there that they answer a yes or no question to something on.
You have to be careful on health questions.
Absolutely. That's part of my thing is that we're asking, health information. Those are HIPAA violations. And all of a sudden, in this case, we're all okay with, even Santa Clara is talking about, they're talking about a thing of asking employers, asking their employees if they've been vaccinated. That's a HIPAA violation. And it drives me nuts that we're allowing that to happen, but that's separate stuff. Sorry.
Now, Dave, do we still need to get repeat when people come through?
No, nope. Don't need to do a P. You don't need to do that. You can, that's what I'm saying. Have some sort of question that addresses that, and I'll work on that. A simple question to put in there. And just say, hey, just, keep your mask on when you're here. And, again, if you can open up windows, back doors, that sort of stuff, do that. That'll be helpful also. So this is the listing agreement open house addendum. So there's actually two of them, which I'm not sure why there's two different ones, but it's an amendment to the already existing listing agreement between the buyer and seller. So this is if you have a home that's on the market and I think this is how this is set up. So this is the LOHA. So this is if you've already got a home listed that's still active and you want to do an open house. So you can send this out as an addendum for them to fill out, agrees or does not agree to allow broker to hold the open house. So if you've got a listing already, use this one. If you don't have if you get any listings going forward, is the RLACAA, and there's an addendum to that, and this is the same thing of allowing to broker hold open houses, to allow showings but no open houses, does not agree to allow showings or open houses. So this is the one, any new listings that come up, you're going to use the RLACAA. Any that are currently that you want to do an open house on that you've already got a listing on, you use the LOHA. Okay. So this is if you got one active that you want to do open house, use this one. Any new ones, RLA CAA. And there's check boxes on they'll let you do open houses and all that. So please don't do open houses unless you've on a new listing, unless you got this one filled out.
Can you put the samples right there where you have? Like,
Yep.
the links so that-
Yep.
Is that going to be added to our global packet by chance?
Yes, as soon as it's available, we will put that into there. It may be available now. Actually, this one is available now, so it's 5/21. So we will add this into the global packet. So any new listings that come up should be on. We won't add the LOHA because if you have a listing, then that's a specific one just for right now. So any new listings coming up, this will be in the global packet.
Thank you.
Okay. So we can do them. They do have a sample sign-in thing that you can use. Again, I would use your Weichert one because that goes into there, and you can add a question about, that they agree to the terms posted on the flyer. So your question can be as simple as, I agree to the terms on the posted open house rules. And they, just yes. And, yeah, I would just something as simple as that. I agree to abide. Nope. I agree to abide by the property rules posted. Simple as that. And then if you got this posted up, then you're good to go.
And
So
what
I
if
would make it
they
very
don't
simple.
agree to it?
What?
What about like the people that would be stubborn and be like, I don't want to sign in, I don't want to give you my name, whatever. Are you allowed to?
Then they can't come in.
They can't. Okay.
Yeah. And I just do that with all my open houses now, is that the sellers want to know who's been in their home, and they want an accurate record of that. So I need, if you could fill this out, it's a requirement. And right now with the PED, with the COVID thing, our rules say that we have to do this. So those are, state laws. So post that in some sort of thing inside the thing, add a question to, do you agree to abide by the posted rules, and make it as simple as that. And then you've covered yourself on that. So you can start doing those, and we're doing time here. We're good. So we're going to put a period on there. We went through, there's some more things on generating absent owners for your farm, but we'll talk about that next time. So any questions on what we've covered? We covered a lot of grounds. And keep in mind, in December, the new purchase agreement is coming out in December. So that'll be a whole new form. Actually, I think it's going to be much easier to use. Yeah.
On a different note, have they talked about tours reopening?
That's a question for Maggie.
Yeah, there's been a lot of question on it, but I know the Wednesday tour over in Oakley, I know that one's reopened.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's been open for a couple weeks now. Yeah, yeah, it's on Wednesdays, we're here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we can go every other Wednesday when we're
Yep.
not here.
Yep. Okay, any other questions, any other things that you guys need help on, have questions on?